We return once again to the world of questionable questing. Today, as I look for my music, hold on. Let's turn that way down. Today, you play the role of a warrior, a soldier of sorts, tasked with discovering what's going on with a castle falling in the middle of the desert. You've already trekked far. You've gone by yourself, no encampment, as a scout before the rest of your forces arrive. And deep into the forest, or deep into the desert you've gone. Not a forest. What am I talking about? Deep into the desert you've gone. Deeper and deeper still. Until eventually, you find yourself in an oasis. You find yourself in the middle of a small, ruined oasis. And just as you're taking in your surroundings, you see something moving. Something catches your eye. It's a woman. The woman's far off, but she's staring at you directly. She's calm, she's casual, no weapons drawn. She's not intimidated by your presence at all. In fact, she starts speaking to you. From the distance, it's hard to tell what she says, but in your mind, it is clear. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. And so you cut the distance with her. You get close. And she says, "Hello, traveler. I could use your help. Can you please help me find my camel? I don't think I can make it through the desert without my camel, and they can't have gotten far. They're somewhere around these ruins. Can you please help me find my camel?" So now you have some options. Let's go ahead and start our first poll. What will you do? Will you help her find her camel? Everybody wants to seduce. All right, here are your options. Here's your autonomous results. For anybody new, there is a voting above chat. You just got to do a little pull down, I think, and you should get your options. So, would you like to help her find her camel? As she asks you, and as you're pondering the results, you start to feel some pressure on your mind. You're feeling maybe you're not entirely yourself now. The idea of even saying no to her doesn't cross your mind. And as you're exploring what that means, what could happen, it feels as if this has already been predetermined. It feels as if she has already gotten her answer from you, given her casual, confident nature. Make new merch. Yeah, go for it. All right. Overwhelmingly, the answer is yes. Yes, of course you're going to help her with her camel. Why wouldn't you? You're a capable warrior. Here's a damsel in distress. And, you don't really have any leads on where this castle might be anyway. So you might as well help her. So you give her a resounding yes. And she's thankful. She's thankful. And she says, okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to give you some direction on where to go. She wanders off. Off she goes. And as you watch her walk around the corner of the ruins, as she disappears from view, the world around you begins to change quickly. Quickly. You are teleported. You are thrust through a portal. You hear buzzing at first. You hear lots of buzzing, lots of weird noises everywhere, and you find yourself in the middle of a beehive. Bees as large as yourself. A massive, sprawling beehive. The desert heat's gone. The sand's gone. None of it has even stuck to your clothing. You are just here now. And there's bees everywhere. Let's go and throw some bee music on. All right. Everyone gets bees today. You take in your surroundings. The bees have noticed your presence, and they're pissed. They are taking all sorts of maneuvers around you, sizing you up, seeing if they can get any sort of in on you as you draw your axe. But in the corner, you see something. Far off in the corner, you see a camel. You see a little camel out there. Far away at first, but definitely within running distance. So the bees begin their attack, and you get your first reaction here. What will you do? You will run to camel? Is that too loud? It feels loud to me. Music could go down a bit? Okay. Let's do that for now. Can we seduce the bees? Just wait. One of these days I'm going to do a seduction campaign for you guys. Okay. Here we go. Better now? All right. You got 3 options. You can run to the camel with a dedicated pace using your normal running speed. You can sprint recklessly, full speed to the camel. No care in the world. Or you can try and take on some of the bees now. What will you do? Okay, we got one run. One sensible run. Everyone? 2 runs? Okay, we're feeling it. What are the downsides of sprinting? Like, you basically told us we can run fast or run faster. I mean, that's par for the course, right? That's what you got to find out. Okay, we got a tie vote. On tie votes, we roll dice, so let's see. Okay, I think we're good to turn the audio back up just a little bit. I don't know why that one song was so loud. Okay, so we're going to roll, and we're going to say evens are sprint and odds are run. So let's go for it. Okay, so we're running. So let's go ahead and give us a little run here. Ooh, what a run. What an absolute athlete you are. In no time, you run roughly half the distance between you and the camel. The camel grows ever closer. Not too far now to make. But while you're running, the bees, being in their domain, take turns stinging you all over. And let's take a look at that. Oh! This is going to be one of these days. The bees dive bomb you. Stingers first. Dive bombing from every which direction. But because of how absolutely athletic and amazing you are able to roll past, just dodge every single attack of them. The bees sometimes running into each other, running into the side of the hive, missing completely. And you carry on. Okay, let's do it again. That was a great first roll. What are you gonna do? Do we want to run? Do we want to sprint? Or do we want to fight? Expanding camel. We have ourselves an expanding camel. Okay, what are we feeling? You are roughly halfway to the camel right now. And we have 1 vote for fighting. The camel seems pretty unamused. None of the bees are even bothering to attack the camel. The camel might as well not be here right now. I mean, it might as well be comfortably in the desert with the way it's just stanced up. All right, we got a tie vote on run and fight. Anybody want to be a tiebreaker? Do we want to throw some chaos into this? It's looking like a 50-50. Oh, it's a three-way. Okay. A few more seconds if somebody wants to throw their vote in. All right, three-way. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to say groups of 3. So 1s will be run, 2s will be sprint, 3s will be fight. Let's go ahead and do a roll. Okay, so that's sprint. So we're going to go ahead and for a sprint. Catching your footing, you realize you can push yourself just a little bit faster if you just bring your axe down a little bit. Getting out of your defensive stance, you can just push with all of your might as fast as you can to the camel. So let's go ahead and roll for sprint. Oh! You get a little closer to the camel. Just a little bit closer. But in that... Whoa, voice, hello. In the process of getting that extra little bit, you lose your balance and you tumble to the ground. You go ahead and take a clean 20 damage. Just landing straight on your shoulder. Just a hard, rough hit. And, in turn, the bees are not going to cease their operation. So they begin dive bombing once again. Oh! The bees just rake into you. One after another, they just start stinging you. Luckily, bees, despite looking so vicious, don't really like stabbing people too much. So they don't put their heart and soul into it. They just give you little stabs here and there, dealing a nice 40 damage. But it hurts, and I can't center my text. Okay, let's do it once again. We're gonna do it once more. You're so close to the camel. You are so past the halfway mark. You just got to get that extra little bit. What are you going to do? Okay, we're going for the fight. I can almost guess who the fight is. I have a feeling I know who wants to fight. Okay, anybody want to challenge the fight? Anybody want to push any of the other options? Or are we going to go for a nice swing? Okay, 2 fights. We were willing to beat up some bees today. Let's go. We're fighting bees. Okay, a fight it is. Bringing your axe back up and pushing yourself off the ground, you take a quick reactionary swipe at the closest bee. What happens? Oh no. Well, not only do you not manage to hit a bee, you manage to do a full circle, just catching your legs in your track and falling right back to the same position you were in before. One of the least graceful moves you think you've done in your militant life. And as you might imagine, the bees are not going to respond kindly to what you just did. So they take their marks. Ooh. They sting a little bit less than before. They're maybe a little scared at what you just did to them, but not enough to stop. And for 30 damage, they dig into you. And you're back. This time, you push yourself off the ground quicker than before. Almost like you expected to fall for some reason. But off the ground you are, and ready to react you are. And this could be it. This could be your make or break on this one. This could be the big one. So you feel some rumbling around the hive. This might be the time to act. What do we feel like doing? don't remember this song at all. What do we want to do? Don't forget to cast your vote. I have a feeling we have some delay or something between us. If we don't get a vote, we're going to run the poll one more time. I don't know what happened. I don't know where the voting went. But let's try it one more time. Yeah, I figured something like that was happening. Are you on mobile or are you on desktop? Okay, the vote is live. Let's put that out there. I do not remember this song at all. Okay, we gotta vote for fight. Fight, fight, fight. Okay. Anybody else want to push us out of this beehive? Anybody else want to cast their vote? Put their energies into fate itself? It's looking like a fight. All right. Another swing is what we're going to take at the dozens and dozens of life-sized bees. And by life-size, I mean larger than life-sized. So, poised this time, with a little bit more grace than your last swing, you go for a large quarter circle. Let's see what that does for us. All right. Not only do you get to hit the bee that you're aiming at, but you cleave through 2 of them, reducing their forces down a little bit and causing a little bit of a stutter before they come back at you. So they begin their stinging. Ooh, really good. This time, only a couple of stings. Almost non-painful at this point. Almost simple, like you've been fighting these things for your whole life. But it is time. What will we do? You feel the reverberations off of the wall. You feel something moving in the distance. Something's coming, I think is a better way of saying that. Hasn't shown itself yet. You're not sure what it is. But there's definitely a force moving in the background. Beyond the hive walls. What do you want to do? Okay, got another vote for fight. Keep in mind there are dozens of bees around you. Your last swipe killed 2 of them, and there are dozens of them. But it's looking like we're gonna fight, looking like we're gonna go for it. All right, a fight it is. This time you go for an overhead, a nice flourish on your attack. Going for something that will hopefully hit quite a few more to try and knock down the numbers a little bit. And it didn't quite hit as hard as last time. You hit 1 bee clear in half, but another one you only slightly glance. So far your kill count is about 3.5 bees out of what might be 40. But the rumbling gets ever closer, and it shows itself to you. A whole battalion of bees joins the fray. The room gets filled with bees, all aggressive, upset, defensive, worried. You are now surrounded by bees. Bees everywhere. More bees than you can count, that's for sure. There are bees everywhere around you. So, what are you gonna do about this? You're gonna be given 2 options. Just 2. In your panic, you get 2 options. You can either sprint with the fear of everything that's going on inside of you, or you can swing wildly. You can try and make something of this miserable situation. The air is filled with the buzzing of bees. The pain of their stingers, you can feel it before they even touch you. There's a violent energy here. And the bees themselves are just as desperate to match. They are eyes on you, scared of everything you're capable of doing just as much as you're scared of them. But you're in their field. This is what they got to do. There's nothing else they can do. They got to get you out. So we're sprinting. Okay, let's do it. Oh. What's with these low rolls? You get so close to the camel. You're so close. You're almost within arm's reach of the camel, but you're not quite there by the time the bees get back to you. And the bees go for it. This time, the whole swarm, all coordinated as a big cloud, strike at you. And the cloud rolls in. Oh! And maybe in the chaos, maybe blinded by each other, following the motion of just one who was recklessly at the front, not piloting them correctly, they whiff. Barely a few stingers scrape past you, and you take the minimum amount of damage, which would be 10. Almost nothing. Doesn't hurt, doesn't feel like anything. A simple 10 damage. You lucked out. But the cloud of bees makes a nice circle around the whole hive, getting high up in the air and coming back down to you. So, you have one more reaction. You can go ahead and run that last little arm's length that you need, or you can prepare yourself for the cloud that's about to hit you. Now, the bees have shown kind of a bad track record for attacking. They've missed a lot, given what they should be doing at this point. But hey, you're not going to question it. I mean, it's your life on the line. Okay, we're doing the run. Boy, let's hope we don't get an 11 on this one. We got to get out of here. I agree. I think it's time to go. So we're going for the hard run, it looks like. Unless somebody wants to challenge that with a vote, it looks like we're going for the last little bit, just closing that distance on the camel. Does anybody want to go ahead and throw a little spice in this mix? Anybody want to break up the vote? If you tie us, we got to vote for it. Okay, we're running. Let's go ahead and roll for it. Oh, no. All right. You barely get your feet to work. Just shaky from the adrenaline and a couple of falls, a couple of twisted ankles. You are just doing your absolute best. And so you run a little bit and you realize you're not going to make it to the camel in time by the time the cloud hits you. So instead, you leap. You come off of your feet and you just do one big leap towards the camel. And while you're in the air, the bees converge down upon you. Oh. A lot of them miss, to be fair. A lot of them miss, but a few of them still make contact with you, and you take a little bit of damage. 25 damage you take. But the force of them hitting you pushes you that extra little distance to touch the camel. And as you touch the camel, you're pushed right through another portal. Through a portal you go, and I don't have a magic way of doing this, so we're going to do this as gloriously as I can while I talk and talk and talk. The camel itself rips from reality and turns into a sort of time-space hole. The camel's form loses all meaning as you are just pushed through it, and out the other side you go. And where you find yourself is not a desert, despite what it looks like. You find yourself in a cave. You find yourself in a cave, and the camel is gone once again. But something about this cave strikes you as familiar. Something about this cave really triggers something inside of you. And while you sort of come to grips with what it is, why you're here, from a beehive to this, a large insectoid queen comes from the roof and lands in front of you. She's the queen of the spiders. And if things didn't feel familiar before, they definitely feel familiar now, even if you can't quite place it. So you're here. And unlike the bees, she is not intimidated. She's not scared of you. She's not considering in her options. She is ready to fight. So, you begin your fight. Yet another fight. From one frying pan to another, you begin your fight. You get a few options. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 options. I think I'm apprehensive to use 5 options because it's really hard to separate a vote on 5 options, but the reality that we're going to 5-way tie is pretty crazy. Shout out to everybody 5-way tying, but I doubt it's going to happen. So, we're going to go give you some options. You can either give her a wild swing just to start the fight off with a bit of passion and flair. You can do a safe swing. You can roll underneath her, which she's got a good amount of distance underneath her, so could be the option. You can run around her, ideally on her offside so she doesn't slash you with her large claws. Or you can stand and defend. You can prepare for her first attack with a little bit more poise. Rolling underneath her is winning with 2 votes. So I think the memories of the past are definitely resonating with us. I think maybe some of us have more than a latent memory of what this is or what's about to happen. So we're rolling. Let's go ahead and roll underneath her. Oh! Oh my god. It's amazing. The first critical. You roll underneath her, and through just your amount of poise, through maybe the amount of seriousness in the situation and your warrior instincts kicking in, you have the bright idea to kick your foot out and trip her from underneath. You rake most of her feet from underneath her while you're rolling, and she goes tumbling to the ground while you appear on the other side of her. You're now closer to the exit of the cave. You're closer to escaping this place while she sits on the ground, unable to move. So, what will you do now? Swing while she's down. I think those are... I'm going to give you 2 options. We're going to keep it easy on this one. Part of me learning how to do this and improving this process a little bit is trying to not repeat votes over and over again. Sometimes it's important for combat purposes, but ideally I want to keep things moving forward a little bit more interestingly. So I'm going to aim for that, but sometimes you got to play a little bit. All right, we're going for violence. We are going for the violent attempt. Does anybody want to challenge that? We had a second vote on the last one. Does the second vote want to go ahead and chime in on this one? It's looking like we're going to go for a swing. Okay. She doesn't look quite scared of you in any sort of capacity. She's not, I don't think this creature has mercy. I don't think this creature has the ability to be scared of things. At least they don't have the facial expressions for it. But certainly they're in a desperate position as you come swinging down at her. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right. You go ahead and get a little blow on her. It hits on the abdomen, maybe the largest part of her body. So, you know, it's not like you cut her head off or anything more critical than that. But you at least land a little bit of a hit on her. And by hitting her, she reels back, gets off the ground, and prepares herself to begin combat once again. So, luckily for you, since she was stunned on the ground, you get a free turn where she can't attack you. So, we're going to go ahead and go for it. Let's do one more wild swing, a safe swing, or run to exit. These are your options. Now, when she was on the ground, the difference between wild swing and safe swing was pretty mitigated just because you had the upper hand. But now that she stands towering over you once again, you're left with a little bit of a dilemma of how you want to attack her. You are a trained warrior. You are experienced in combat. But, you know, adrenaline really does something to you. The heat of the moment, and especially how weird everything is. I mean, less than a few minutes ago, you were talking to a woman in an oasis, and you were traveling the desert. And twice now you've been through a portal, and you're here. I mean, what kind of warrior training is going to prepare you for that? You're not exactly on comfortable ground, maybe the way you would during a normal assignment. So anything's game. We're going to have a tie vote between a wild swing and a safe swing. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for it. We're going to say odds are wild swing. So we're doing a nice safe swing, similar to the attack you just did before, but now she's ready to respond to you. So let's give this a roll. Oh, you hate to see it. You go ahead and you bring your axe far back. You didn't deal very much damage last time, and learning from your mistake, you hope to maybe have a little bit more follow through. So you bring your axe back and you do a quick, hard, full force swing all the way through. And as if she's been training for it, all she does is take one leap backwards, completely missing your attack. And as you stumble forward, she leaps forward once again and takes a swipe back at you. Oh, why does this always happen? All right. Making clean contact with your shoulder, she rips through you. Luckily, your armor is enough to keep her from cleaving you in half, but she rakes across the front of your body with her blade. I mean, it is a savage attack. It is about as painful as it gets. And so you are left with 715 health. 150 damage done to you in one attack. All right. The options remain much the same. Wild swing, safe swing, or run to exits. The confidence of the battle has definitely changed feet. Before, she was on the ground and weary of you, and you had an upper hand, you had good footing, you had all of these things. Now, you're completely on the other hand. You've missed an attack. She's landed a great attack on you. Her balance is right. Your balance is off. Things are a little scary. As if they weren't scary before. As if fighting a giant insect queen wasn't scary. Now she's actually winning the fight. So what do we want to do here? What are we feeling? I realize I forgot to shift my music over, but we'll do that later. Okay, we got 1 vote for run to exit. Last minute vote. Very good. Excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and roll for it. Oh, very good. You make your way most of the way out of the cave. It's a little bit of a rocky outcropping. You're going to have to jump up stones. It's not a straight path. Obviously, this is not human-made by any means. So you're leaping up a series of rocks, sort of a disjointed staircase of sorts. And you make it a good amount of the way up. You make it pretty far up. And while you're doing that, you notice outside the cave, in the grassy, mossy fields outside the cave, you notice something. And what that something is the camel. The camel sits just on the outside of the cave. It's just sat in the sunny field just outside of this dark abyss. And you're close enough now to maybe push the rest of the distance. So what will you do? Oh, I should mention, she runs up behind you, and she does go for one quick swipe at your back. She's a bit faster than you, being in her home advantage, having many more feet, having a size advantage. So she does take one swipe at you for almost no damage. I mean, it's like nothing. She does 15 damage. You're now down to 700. You're still in a very healthy place. You know, you've done much worse in practice, let alone in actual combat. So 700, not that bad. The fear of the situation is maybe something else. But physically, you're not doing that bad. Okay, so let's do one more of these guys. Oh no, I'm typing bad. I'm typing bad because I'm thinking too much. There we go. Okay. Your options are to turn and do another wild swing, a safe swing, or just to keep running. Right? Much the same as it's been before. There haven't been any sort of rocky outcroppings or items of such to use around here, so your options seem pretty clear. You're carrying forward. And that latent memory, that familiarity that you felt before, that familiar something is really tingling. You feel you're further than you've ever been before, whatever that means. All right, I feel like we're gonna have a last minute vote here. Wild swing, safe swing, or keep running. We've got a lot less votes here today. I think we lost some people since we went to Sunday instead of Saturday, but that's okay. All right, so we didn't get a vote on that one. Let's go ahead and run that poll one more time, and I'll go ahead and limit our options just to simplify that. We'll give you two options. Since you're already at a bit of an incline, swinging might be a little frantic already. You have your back turned and you're sort of off your footing, so maybe a safe swing isn't on the menu. But you get to swing or you get to run. What are we feeling like? Okay, we got one for a run. I believe T's having some trouble voting today. I think the vote is maybe a little bit glitchy, which I've not seen the voting on my end, so it's a little hard for me to understand what it exactly looks like. I'm just going off of what I know. Okay, It's looking like we're going to run. All right. We're pretty close to the exit of the cave. We're pretty close. Oh, no. You make it maybe one step up. You maybe make the slightest little step up this rocky staircase before tumbling back down. And she's well over you by the time you make your clumsy little step. So, looming over you, her legs literally sprawled around the sides of you. She has pretty free reign to deal damage to you. Oh, that hurts to see. All right, she deals a really strong 125 damage to you. And now she is directly over you. Not over you as in on the ceiling, but just the mass of her body is over you. So to keep running, you're going to have to push underneath her. So your options are to dodge around her, to roll past her, or to swing, which we'll call fight. We'll call that a fight instead of a swing, because I think that's a little bit more apt. T, I believe you're the one carrying this vote. This is very much your story right now. We're gonna roll. We had a nice roll earlier. We last time we rolled, we really set the stage, and that was like the most power we've been in this whole situation. So I think rolling past her is very sensible. I think in this weird, wacky, violent wonderland that we've been thrust into, this has been the only thing that's ever really worked for us. And whether we're going based off of our own reaction or an informed decision, I think that makes sense. It's probably the vote I would give. So we're going to go for a roll. All right. Let's hope and pray that we get something. What are these dice? What is this dice? Why does this dice always do this for us? All right. You put your legs against her abdomen and you push. And you do just a little roll backwards. You get about one somersault behind her. And it's not much. You didn't really make that much distance. We'll go ahead and get the camel just a little bit closer to you. But, I mean, you effectively accomplished nothing, unfortunately. And again, she's over you. I mean, she's close enough for you to put your legs against her. So, with her insane mantis claws, just think about what she could do to you. Oh. Things are looking rough. I didn't expect this to go so bad. I buffed us up on purpose. All right. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. 490. You didn't heal. That would be crazy. She goes ahead and gives you a flurry of slashes at your chest and at your neck. You are now visibly bleeding through your armor. And you feel it. You're short on breath. You feel sore. Your legs are basically the only part of your body that have been untouched by violence so far. And luckily, your legs are the things you need the most to keep on going. So, just your bloodied self has got to be pushed by your legs one way or another, through combat or through escape. Yeah, we're looking pretty bad on this one. This is horrifying. Oh yeah. This is feeling very familiar, I'll say that. Okay, you get two options. You know, the tactical aspects of things, the ability to really think about your decisions become less and less the more damage you take. And so it's basically stay or go, right? In your mind, it's fight or flight. That's it. You don't have anything else that you're working for. So what's it going to be? We're going to fight or are we going to fly? It's always so hard to judge these things. When I'm creating these, you know, never do you expect to get like 3 2 rolls in a 1. That was a sentence and a half. These always go insane. These are always the most insane like campaigns ever because I can't plan for how crazy they go. All right, we're going for a desperate escape. I'm not going to tell you the number that I have in my head, but I have a number in my head. Oh. Beautiful. Somehow, despite all of your achiness, despite all of the pain that you feel, you do a quick flip. You don't even know what part of your body manages to do it, but somehow you flip from your back to your chest, and you throw your hands against the ground in a push-up position and throw yourself up on your feet, and you're gone. Out of the cave you go. You were out into the grassy field, and you're looking back in this abyss that this crazy ant thing has, you know, cornered you in. And surprisingly, she doesn't follow you into the field. She just stares at you from the exit. It's almost as if she wasn't hungry. She didn't need anything from you. She just wanted you out of her domain. And now that you're gone, she just watches with angry eyes as you travel into the field, closer and closer and closer to the camel. And as you get to the camel, you feel your hand naturally gravitating towards it. You brush your hand across its neck, and as you touch its saddle, the same thing happens. It compresses into itself into a sort of black hole. It turns into a weird warping entity, and into it you go, down another portal. Again, I don't have a glorious way of doing this. I wish I kind of had like some motion graphics I could use here, but boy, do I not have time for all that. All right, so into another portal you go, through the camel, the enigmatic portal camel you go, and this time you find yourself in a little bit more of a peaceful arrangement. There we go. You find yourself on the edge of a royal garden. A wealthy, beautiful, well-maintained, recently maintained garden. And while you're here, immediately within your view is the camel. Having just touched it, having just passed through as many trials as you have, the camel's just here before you. Bewitched by its gaze, or just catching your breath from the last thing that you experience, you watch as the camel just goes into the maze and out of your view. The camel has lost itself somewhere within this maze. And through the peaceful sounds of the night, through the glow of the moon, through the rustling of the leaves, you get a little bit of a rest. Even though you know there's probably going to be a little bit going on with this camel in here. But that's not for you to worry about right now. Right now you get to catch your breath. And by catching your breath, you recover just a little bit of health. The nice dewy air fills your lungs, the blood on you dries, and you feel just a little bit better. So, into the maze you go. You take your first steps into the maze, and I've already lost my way. No, I haven't. And you're not going to judge me for the way that these images look, because I had to try and make them look like they were nighttime, even though they're not nighttime images. So nobody's going to judge me on this. Entering into the maze, you see the rim of a castle, or a palace of sorts, peeking over its edge. And you're met with your first choice. You can go ahead and go left, or you can go right. Which way would you like to go? From what you can see, the hedge is pretty high. It's pretty daunting. You can barely see the large palace over the edge of it. And there's no way to see how far the hedge maze is. But from the outside, it looked pretty large. It looked like a bit of a distance. So, you could be here a while. It's probably best to have some sort of system, I would say. But, you know, nothing so far has struck you. Nothing scary. The dewy air feels good. Maybe this would be a good opportunity to take your time. Maybe taking your time wouldn't be the worst option in the world. So we'll see where going left so far is the leading option. And we'll see what going left does for you. Okay, left it is. We take the path left. And what we find ourselves at is a large cross-section with many, many paths. But you notice something. Down at the far end of the path, there is a woman. A woman carrying a blade. Again, she strikes some familiar aspect inside of your mind. You were reminded of her in some way, shape, or form. But she's far enough away, and she's turned to the other side that she doesn't see you yet. But with her hand on the blade, and the blade slightly drawn, moonlight reflecting off of the little bit of metal sticking out, it doesn't look like she's here too peacefully. So what will you do? You can approach her. You can go back. You can rush to the left. Let's leave it at that. 3 options. That'll be a good 3 options. You could approach her. I mean, it's possible that maybe she's ambivalent. Why she's carrying a sword through a hedge maze seems a little strange. But, I don't know, you know. What do you know about anything that's going on here, I guess? This whole thing's been strange. Going back could, give you even more options. But rushing left will push you further through the maze into new land you've never seen before. So, what will you do out of these 3 options? What are you feeling? This is very much your adventure. Okay, we gotta vote for approacher. Do I think that's sensible? I don't know. Not for me to say. Alright, so, you decide to approach her. The woman with her blade drawn. You walk up to her, and you call out, "Hey! Hey!" as you approach. And without fail, she draws her sword, turns, and begins walking towards you. She pulls her blade up to her shoulder, the blade straight in front of her, staring you almost imperceptibly with how perfectly in line it is with your eyesight, like a piece of paper being dangled in front of you. She walks at you with the blade, and she says, "I don't know how you've got here, but this will be your last breath." And she swings. She swings once, a quick vertical strike. Precise. Very, very precise. Oh! Oh! She hits you with the most perfect attack ever. The most perfect strike. Her eyes black as she does it, as if she's done this 100 times before. A soldier trained to the same degree that you are trained. And she does 150 damage. Is it too gruesome to say that she gets the end of your nose? She rakes the blade across you. She cuts every part of you, from your thigh to your stomach to your chest to your cheek. Just a clean strike across. Certainly you will have a scar for the rest of your life on your face from the slash that you've just been dealt. It is bloody. It is harsh. It hurts. But it doesn't hurt too much, given how sharp the blade is. Almost scary how little you feel it. But the warm flow of blood is enough to know something bad is happening. All right, so what will you do? You can go ahead and run back. You can run left. You can fight. Or you can do something crazy. So you can go back the way you came. You can go left to the path that you were going to rush through before. You can stand and fight her, or there's a mystery option. A wild mystery option. Her stance is completely unbroken. The way that she's holding her sword is reset from the attack. You can tell she is trained. She is trained, almost inhumanly trained. The way she moves and the way she stares at you is not like any human you've ever met in your life. She is cold. She's jaded. She's lacks consciousness or something in your eyes. But too bad, right? You're in her court now. Okay, we're gonna run left. Let's go ahead and run left. Attempting to run left, you immediately trip. Having lost a lot of blood, you're feeling a bit queasy. And, you know, running's probably a little bit hard after having your thigh cut. And, boy, you just trip right on the dirt, right on the flat dirt, not even a rock to trip on. Just on flat ground, you just collapse in on yourself. We need a medic. And this time, now that you're on the ground, she flips her sword 90 degrees, and she brings it down at a lower angle. Like a machine, like a perfectly engineered machine, she just turns to a new position, rehearsed like a ballerina, and she does a horizontal slash at neck height to you. Oh! She deals a solid 60 damage. Now, the hit is not nearly as bad as the last one. It does strike you. It does create a nice cross across your body, a bloody cross, if you will. You have been marked by her in many, many ways. But it's definitely not as deep as the last one. It's not as wide as the last one. And the cut is glancing enough that you can get to your feet as it's being done. So you're back on even footing with her, even though you were just on the ground. So you're given new options. You can back into left path. You can push past her. Oh, I just have enough for that. Perfect. You can fight, or you can do something crazy. We've been getting bad rolls, haven't we? Like really, really bad rolls. So when I say push back into the left path, what I mean is she has you with your back against the left path. The path of least resistance to you right now is to go down that left path that you were originally trying to sneak into. That would be the path of least resistance for you, I would argue. But you can also push past her to go to the entrance that you were once at. You can stand and fight, or you can try that crazy option again. Those are your options. That is what you are feeling. Oh, I love this song so much. The World of Warcraft soundtrack is a little bit samey, but man, does it do it. It's good. There's some great songs in there. All right. I think we're having trouble voting once again. So I'm going to set another poll, and this time we're going to limit our options. We're going to run behind you. We're going to push past her, or we're going to fight. And these will be our options. It has been a very slow day for voting. I want to say a massive thank you to T for being the main person who's been voting all day. I do plan on looking for ways to grow this sort of thing. You know, not chasing fame or anything like that. It's definitely never been my goal. But this does require some participation to run. I think a minimum of like 10 people voting would be ideal so that we don't just get like wild, crazy meme plays. Not that there's nothing wrong with meme plays. The memes are funny, but a little bit of variety I think is nice. I think a little bit of variety and a little bit of like a collective consciousness I think is definitely what's like required of this, given that it is a crowdsourced choose your own adventure. All right, we're gonna run behind us. A 7. This time you have sure footing. This time you go ahead and you set some distance between her. You run and you run, you take one path and another. You don't have time to decide between left, right. You are just going as fast as you can until you make your way down to another narrow corridor. You don't hear her, and you believe that maybe you've created a bit of distance. Maybe she hasn't found you. Maybe you've lost her. And so you're here at a narrow corridor. But down one of the paths, you see a wolf. Or a dog. I should call it a dog. There's a dog down one of the paths. The dog has yet to see you. But similar to her, it strikes a certain familiar chord with you. So, now you have some options. You can go right, which is to avoid the dog. You can run past dog, which is going left, or you can attack the dog. The dog is thoroughly taking up the entire left lane. There's really no way past the dog without the dog noticing you. So, you're left to kind of decide here how you want to deal with this sort of obstacle. Okay, we're thinking about running past the dog. We're thinking about saying screw it. What's the dog gonna do, right? What's the dog got on us? We can't fight. We're too hurt. True. I think that's definitely the balancing act of all of this is how much do you fight? Okay, so you decide to run past the dog. You go ahead and you run past. You run as quick as you can, hugging the edge of the path as you're running past the dog, and you brush past its tail. And as you brush past, the dog stares at you and howls. At full volume, the dog howls at you. And where do you end up as the dog howls? Well, you continue down the left path, and the running continues and continues and continues until you find yourself back at the entrance. You come out a little side pocket, and you're back at the entrance of the maze. And now, despite your best efforts, the dog stands at the entrance, and the woman stands past the exit you just took. We'll put her here. That's fine. So, you are now back where you started, but with company. You have some friends to join you in your adventure. Okay, so you can go back into maze, past the dog. You can attack woman. You can attack the dog. Or you can do something crazy. So if you go past the dog, you're going to end up down roughly the same paths you took before, but at least you won't be around them anymore. Otherwise, you can attack either of them to try and free yourself from this crazy situation. But right now, it's looking like we're going to want to do something crazy. The idea is percolating in your mind. The concept of what you're about to do hasn't even fully developed. But there is a scheme boiling on the surface of your mind. And with enough adrenaline, with enough effort, with enough fear, it seems like it's going to happen. It seems like you're going to go for the most desperate thing you can. And that's it. We're doing something crazy. You see your opportunity. A little wrought iron bench stands against one of the hedges. And with a quick step, you place your right leg on it, you pop it up, you throw your left foot off the back of it, and you jump over the hedge. You clearly bounce over the hedge, and you sail. You make it not past the first hedge, but past a second hedge, deeper into the maze. And sayonara to these two. You have popped yourself deep into this maze, bypassing all of the most normal paths that you could have taken. And it's calm again. It is eerily calm. Okay, so what will you do? You can go straight. We survived. Yeah, you didn't even take any damage. It was just a clean bounce. It was like, practicing at the gym. Okay, so your options, you have two options. You can go straight forward or you can go backwards. Now, given that you jumped over the hedge, the path backwards is not the way you came from. It is a new path altogether. But where either of those paths lead, who knows? Who knows where you're going to end up? What are we feeling? What do we want to be doing here? Go straight? Straight ahead? Okay. I think that's the sensible solution. I think that's what I would vote for. Don't know if I should be saying what I would vote for or not, but since it's just the two of us for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and give my 2 cents, you know? Straight through we go. You pass by ornate fountains, you pass by statues, and an array of different kinds of flowers. Despite everything that's happened to you, despite the blood that is just beginning to dry on you, it's beautiful. The moonlight is relaxing. The smell is aromatic and sweet. You hear sounds from the nearby palace. You know, little clanking of dinner plates, little whistling of a servant here or there. I mean, it's just a pleasant place to be. And once again, that energy fills you with just a little bit of healthiness. You are saved a little bit by the ambiance of such a beautiful location. And through you go to a private garden. A very familiar private garden, but a garden nonetheless. The hedge maze opens up and you are free. On all sides, you are free. 'Tis the garden. It is the garden. You're in a nice, freely open area. And on the other end of the garden is the camel. The oh so sought after camel is here. But in front of it stands yet another dog. So, what will you do? You can rush to camel. You can sneak to camel. Or you can fight dog. That was a quick vote. Somebody really wanted to sneak on that one. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Sneaky like a snake. Okay. It's looking like sneak is definitely the leading option. It was the quickest option. You know, I think a trend that we've had throughout a lot of this is how extremely violent as a character we can be, and how that's usually not done well for us. I've taken care to make us a little bit more of a warrior on this one, but the trial definitely hasn't been easy. So to have gotten this far, I think it's pretty good. I think we've done a pretty good job so far. You've done a pretty good job, I should say. But I think sneaking makes sense. I think, you know, being a little risk adverse is in our best interest. So we're gonna go for the sneak. You find a little tiny archway, almost like a dog door, in some nearby bushes. And you crouch down on all fours, and you pass through it. Oh! And you sneak like the best of them. Of course, there's some rustling. You know, the leaves brushing against you, the leaves crunching underneath your knees as they push your way through this little path. And you see the dog looking a little bit left and right. It's sniffing the air. It definitely can tell something's up. But there's really nothing it can do as you appear on the other side of the bush, completely unaware of where you are. And you're able to touch the camel. You touch the camel, and, you know, much the same as it was before, it turns into a portal. The camel sucks you in and pushes you through a intense portal. As the portal is pushing you through, as you are going through this sort of ethereal light show, you feel warmth. You feel a stinging sensation of sand as it's whipping across your achy, wounded body. You feel familiar once again. You find yourself back at the oasis. You find yourself back at the oasis, and this time, the camel is before you. The camel is at the center of the oasis, ready and waiting, hanging out for you to go. And while you're there, the woman appears. Again, she's far away, and she begins speaking, and you don't hear her directly, but in your mind, you hear the words that she is saying. Go get the camel for me. There he is, I see him. Can you just bring him to me? And compelled, under her bewitching spell, you travel to the camel. You grab on to the leather loop of the bag around its neck, and you begin to pull it towards her. And the camel doesn't move. The camel is heavier than anything you've ever felt in your life. You turn and you pull as hard as you can across that leather strap. And the camel doesn't move. And eventually, everything distorts around you. The leather strap grows and grows across the camel. The camel grows. The desert itself warps and distorts, and you are pushed backwards by some unknown force. The lady dissolves away like a mirage. And where you were brought to is a surrealist dimension. The camel itself sprouts many heads and takes on a grotesque form. A hydra now sits on a iridescent, psychedelic oasis. And all you can do is fight. So, what are you gonna do against this hydra? We're gonna do multiple options. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 options here. You can do a nice wide slash, trying to cut as many of its heads that are snapping at you as possible. You can do a precise cut, just trying to hit as quickly as you can around it. Or you can roll around the hydra. Rolling around the hydra, has worked in the past. Has been a pretty good move to get you going. But who knows? Who knows with something so untamed, something so wild as this? What could happen? Also, I don't know how the health got messed up. I had the health set perfectly, and now the health is all messed up. Let's bring that over. There we go. Oh, sorry, I have to change the music. Hold on. There we go. Let's get that music going. Okay, we're going for a roll. I think I would also have done a roll. We're doing a nice roll behind. Oh, clean. Not only do you roll behind, you manage to get underneath its front leg, passing underneath its tail to the back of it. And while you roll, you get a cheeky little hit across it. You get to rake your axe right across its body. And now you're behind the hydra. And it has to now reposition itself before it can even begin snarling at you. The head on the far left has a clear vision on you, staring at you one-to-one. But the rest of them, they're still in the process of turning. So you have pretty clear advantage. Okay, we can do a wild slash or a safe cut. What do we want to be doing? Safe cut. We've learned. Like student to the master, we have learned well over the course of this campaign what needs to be happening. I think we understand that Lady Fortune does not smile upon us. The dice is never in our favor. I think taking safe options is definitely our better choice. But if you don't gamble, sometimes you don't succeed. So you gotta take it here or there. Does anybody else want to throw their hat into the fray? Anybody else want to go ahead and challenge our preconceived notions of safe cuts? Or are we just going to go for the clean T-driven content here? Safe cut it is. Oh, what are with these rolls today? You go ahead and give it a strike. I want to win. I think I want to win as well. I'm here. You go ahead and strike right into its back thigh. You're not quite positioned correctly to hit any of the heads, and with the tail whipping around, you opt instead to hit the thigh. And fortunately for you, you do manage to get a pretty good hit on the thigh, but scaly and meaty and muscly, it doesn't do too much. I mean, the thighs of this thing might as well be the strongest muscle on its entire body, having to hold up all of this weight. So, you know, you deal a little bit of damage, but it's nothing really. The Hydra turns. It's turned and it's faced you. It's got sort of a quarter circle or a crescent circle position as its tail sits draped around the side of you, and the heads come up on the left side of you, all of them sort of staring you down. Having taken a second to reposition itself, it is in a pretty advantageous position. So there's no getting around it. You know, if you go to the right, the tail is going to swipe at you. If you go to the left, it's just going to eat you alive. So you can either roll underneath, you can do another wide slash, or you can do a precision cut. So are we going to go defensive again? Are we going to go a little safer, or are we going to go for sort of a crazy hit? That's sort of the balancing act that we're going to be doing here. And I would say so far, we've had a pretty good register of this Hydra. It hasn't gotten any real attacks on us yet. What it's capable of, you're not really sure yet. But maybe you don't want to be sure. Maybe it's not even worth it to try. Maybe just keep it, you know, running around you forever. You are like a bird attacking a bear at this point. What's it going to do against you? What are you going to do against it? That's the war that you're dealing with. All right, what are we feeling? Roll underneath, wide slash, or a precision cut? Precision cut it is. Okay. Learning from all of our past mistakes, we're going to go for very clean, clear hits. So, let's roll for it. Can we get anything above a 3? Oh! Oh my gosh. You go ahead and you rake the axe above your head. You bring it left, you fake out, and then you do a wide right swipe. And you land straight into its chest, striking some organ. You feel the resistance at first as you go through scale and muscle, and then into the soft belly you go as it just passes right through it. It is the most cleaving thing you've ever done. And through your action, you cut off the ability for it to use 2 of its heads. 2 of the heads, still alive, still snapping, still staring at you, fall limp to the side. Only 3 heads remain. And it is profusely bleeding. This monster has been very, very harshly tamed in one move of your axe. The remaining 3 heads take bites at you. They're not full-hearted bites, but they take bites at you nonetheless because what else are they going to do in this situation? And yeah, just through the pain, through the reeling, through the shock that you've given it, the bites do very, very little to you. 1, 2, 3. Each of the bites attacks you. You take 50 damage, but you feel a stinging sensation on one of the bites that attacks on your hip. A poison has entered your body. You feel a slight toxin. What the difference between a toxin and a poison is, I don't know, don't ask me. You feel a slight toxin enter your bloodstream. But otherwise, you remain very healthy. Let's do it again. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do wide cut healthy heads, wide cut weak heads, precision cut, or roll underneath. Those are going to be your options once again. The fight is looking pretty good so far. Things are looking all right. Not that things can't change in the flash of an eye, but it ain't looking too bad, I'll tell you that. What do we feel like doing? In a matter of seconds, this monster has become pretty disposed of. I mean, it's a hulking beast. There is no doubt that this thing could still kill you. It is still beyond scary, but you've caused permanent damage to it. If it does manage to kill you, it will not be trekking off into the desert again. It will not be living a normal life anymore. So even if you die at the hands of this thing, you've probably saved the next person that's going to have to deal with this. And at that, you can rest a little bit assured and a little bit less afraid of the death that might await you. Okay, we're going to wide cut the weak heads. They're already on the ground. They're already, you know, having trouble snapping at you. But let's finish the job. Oh, no. So you lift your weapon, and you strike down on the two heads. And despite how weak your blow felt, you managed to cleave both of the two heads clean off of the body. But as you do, you're reminded of some stories you read as a child. Stories of the Hydra. And as those two heads split, 4 more heads take their place, growing from the empty stalks. And the 4 heads rise back up, having recovered from the damage that they had taken. So now you're looking at a 7-headed Hydra. So a 7-headed, previously 5-headed Hydra, now a 7-headed Hydra is staring at you, mostly back to its normal health. And it snaps at you. Oh, that's not that bad. It deals 80 damage to you. The 4 new heads have yet to really respond to what's going on. So instead, the 3 previous heads all take turns biting at you. And again, you feel poison injecting into your body. And through your bloodstream, you feel an aching. The aching of the poison seeping deeper and deeper into you, taking just a little bit of damage at first. But it begins again. So, what are you going to do? We're going to do a wild cut. We're going to do a precision slash. We're going to do a roll underneath. We're going to do something crazy. I'm going to try and do something crazy as often as I can. I think it's like pretty fun. Maybe not fair to you as a voter, but it's fun for me. And if I'm having fun, hopefully you guys are having fun. Because I think the energy is very two-way in that sense. All right, something crazy it is. I have some conditions for something crazy, but I will let you know once we finish the vote. Oh, I love the Disgaea soundtrack. I've been jamming on the Disgaea soundtrack lately. So good. All right, it's looking like we're going to be doing something crazy. 7 heads, 7 vicious serpentine heads all staring at you, waiting for your next move. This thing is bleeding profusely from its body, but the heads are as healthy as they've ever been at this point. So we're going to go for something crazy. Here's how this is going to work. Evens, you succeed. Odds, you fail. Okay? So we're going for evens. Oh. Having only ever done this once in your life before, you feel compelled to try a signature move, a special attack. You hit your axe hard into the ground to launch yourself up, and flying up in the air, you spin to try and do the hardest, widest cut you possibly can at the height of this thing's neck. Unfortunately, you hit nothing. You're just spinning. You just launch yourself in the air and you're spinning. And as that spin drags slower and slower, the Hydra finds its opening and starts biting you on your way down before you even touch the ground. all 7 heads ripping into you, one by one. Oh! Oh, you hate to see it. An unimaginable amount of pain enters your body as fang after fang after fang hits you. And you can barely catch your footing as you land on the ground. Luckily, you catch your footing. Luckily, you do not just collapse into a pile of mush as you hit the ground. But, again, you feel the poison spreading throughout your body. Physically, you feel a pulse of your body. You feel a throbbing. You feel your heartbeat going through your own veins. You are not doing too well. And neither is the Hydra, for that case. But certainly you are feeling yourself on your last leg. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 things. We're gonna do precision or crazy. Those are your 2 options, and this might be your last option. So let's think carefully about this one. Do we want to be precise, or do we want to do something wild? This is very likely your last move. Make it count. What are we feeling? What do we want to be doing here? Let's make this one count. I think we might be having some voting trouble once again. Let's go ahead and cast that vote one more time. Pop that up. Let's see what we're up to. What do we want to be doing here? Get your votes in. This is it. This is the make or break. This is the one that's got to count. Has it broken? Has our voting system broken? I can't have broken 2 systems by now. That would be very unfortunate. Have I lost it? Am I in my own alternate dimension all of a sudden? All right, tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and roll. We're going to go for odds is precision. Precision it is. So, 1 precise attack coming up. Oh, finally. I can't believe it's happened. With your last bit of energy, with your last muscles, your last calories, your last everything you have in your body, poison coursing through every little bit, you get 1 great attack. Almost if divinely intervened, you get 1 last great attack. The Hydra throws its heads forward, its mouth wide enough to swallow you whole. And through that jaw, you swipe straight down, cleaving the head all the way down to the stem. 1 quick, easy cut, and the Hydra is destroyed. almost vaporized from the level of violence you've given it. And back you go. The trippiness of the desert, the psychedelic, almost hallucinogenic setting that you find yourself in slowly fades back to normalcy. And you're there. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. I've been wanting to do this ever since I started. There we go. We're all going to revel in this. You feel the poison dissipating from your body. Just as the ethereal setting that once surrounded you disappears back into normalcy, the poison disappears as if it never really existed, as if it was only ever in your mind. And you're back in the desert. All you can do is shamble up against the ruined walls and sit. You survived, somehow. You still have the blood on yourself to prove it. After some time of rest, you get up and you wander around and you look. The lady's gone. The camel's gone. There is no life here. You are alone, just as it's meant to be. And so you find yourself under an overhung tree, and you fall straight asleep. Yes, you have a mission to do. Yes, a castle to be found. But you've done enough for today. And off to sleep you drift. You've earned it.